What's going on, YouTube? It's Jewfy here, and today's clip comes from Thomas Sowell TV, The Problem with Fancy Diplomas. Now, real quick, since we on the topic of Thomas Sowell today, I recently dropped a video about Joe Rogan being introduced to Thomas Sowell, and two of the biggest feedbacks in the comments that I got, because the video went semi-viral. Two of the biggest feedbacks I got was my audio and me not knowing where the West Indies was. Now, the audio I fixed. West Indies, I didn't know where it was. I assumed it was in Africa, but I was wrong. But we talking about diplomas here. I am not a college graduate, okay? I don't claim to know. I'm not an economist. I'm not nothing. I'm no fancy title. I don't have one. I just got a little bit of common sense, and yeah, that's it. You know what I'm saying? These are reactions. I never seen this video. These are reactions. I take the info given on the screen. I listen to it. I react to it. But hey, it's all love. Seriously, I appreciate everybody for watching. Now, before we start the video, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Now let's get into this Thomas Sowell TV and this guy right here.
Writing in 1981, historian Arthur Schlesinger Jr., who attended Phillips Exeter and Harvard and held positions as a professor at Harvard and later at the City University of New York. Arthur Schlesinger Jr., quote, "Those in the U.S. who think the Soviet Union is on the verge of economic and social collapse are only kidding themselves," close quote. Quotation number 2. Speaking in 1982, only months after Arthur Schlesinger Jr., Ronald Reagan, a graduate of Eureka College.
In an ironic sense, Karl Marx was right. We are witnessing today a great revolutionary crisis, a crisis where the demands of the economic order are conflicting directly with those of the political order. But the crisis is happening not in the free, non-Marxist West, but in the home of Marxist-Leninism, the Soviet Union. It is the Soviet.
Okay, so I guess what he's trying to say here is that it's ironic that it's happening there and not here, right?
Union that runs against the tide of history by denying human freedom and human dignity to its citizens. It also is in deep economic difficulty.
Tom, the professional, exquisitely educated intellectual Arthur Schlesinger Jr. got it wrong. And Ronald Reagan, the graduate of a little school in the middle of the country, Eureka College, got it right. A decade after these two quotations, the Soviet Union went out of existence. How come?
Well, Arthur Schlesinger is part of a long and one might say distinguished line of people who have been absolutely wrong for decades and actually for centuries. So this is just one of many statements that you could quote. It's not even the only time that Arthur Schlesinger Jr. was wrong by miles. He was wrong in attributing the recovery from the Great Depression to Franklin D. Roosevelt. He was wrong in arguing that the tax cuts were going to make it, under Andrew Mellon, were going to make it harder to balance the budget. They not only balanced the budgets, they had a surplus and paid down the national debt.
And even after John Kennedy's tax cuts, Treasury Secretary Andrew Mellon.
So it sounds like what he's saying here is, I don't know who this guy is that's getting everything wrong, but I'm assuming that this guy is some PhD or some, he's some accredited scholar, and he's still getting all these things wrong. Whereas Ronald Reagan, the kid from the community college or whatever he said, is getting things right. Meaning that just because someone has a fancy title behind their name or before their name doesn't mean that everything they say and diagnose is correct. You still have to, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research.
Well, no, Andrew Mellon was earlier. But in writing retrospectively about it, he said that Mellon was very inconsistent in saying he wanted to reduce the national debt while cutting the tax rate.
Right.
Well, he cut the tax rate, but the tax revenues increased.
So Arthur Schlesinger was wrong about the tax cuts of the 20s.
Yes.
And then when he served in the Kennedy White House, he resisted those tax cuts, which also worked. And then he
makes me wonder, did he know he was wrong? Did he not know he was wrong, or did he have some sort of agenda in being wrong? You know what I'm saying?
opposed Ronald Reagan. He was wrong 3 times. So what is the pathology of intellectuals that, I mean, one condensation, an unfair or crude condensation.
I got that book.
But it sort of gets at a point of this book might be simply, the fancier your education, the more likely you are to be wrong.
Well, I would say there's something to that, because the more likely you are to spout off about things you don't know anything about. The problem is that all of us have.
I think that could go either way. You know what I'm saying? You could have no education and do the same thing. But I get what he's saying.
We have a narrow range within which we may be great, but a few steps outside that range, and we're totally lost. Bobby Fischer didn't go around commenting, on theories of evolution and stuff like that. He was happy to play chess, but intellectuals, someone.
Oh, I get what he's saying. He's saying the person with less of an education is like happier, more satisfied doing simple things, so they're not even in search for answers for these questions or trying to solve these problems.
Like who's a linguist like Noam Chomsky, he didn't stick to linguistics. If he stuck to linguistics, most people would never have heard of him.
So somehow or other, a fancy education seems to give people the feeling that they have been given the diploma. Gives them permission to spout off about world affairs, politics, economics, when all they know is linguistics, or Arthur Schlesinger Jr.'s case, he knows a lot about the administration of Andrew Jackson,
yes.
150 years before. Why? What is it about having a fancy diploma that gives people the right to
waffle on? It's not only the diploma, it's all just the general reputation of being an intellectual.
But I would argue that these people don't think that they're just waffling on. I think they actually believe the stuff that they're saying in most of these cases. Some of them know that what they're saying is wrong, but a lot of them, I'd say most of them, actually believe the stuff that's coming out of their mouth. They were fed some information, they ran with it without checking it. They assume since I'm the scholar, I'm the big scholar, no one's gonna challenge what I say, so what I say is final.
And you don't have to go that far away. I mean, a couple of years ago, there was a mountain lion killed here in Palo Alto. And all kinds of insane things were said by people at Stanford and whatnot about how terrible it was to kill this mountain lion. He was up in a tree.
Oh, jeez, come on.
Near where the school was
about to let out.
School was about to let out.
I remember that. The cops had been watching it all day. It was in a tree in a neighborhood, and.
Right, now, if a kid gets mauled by a lion, then what?
When the school was about to let out, they thought we have no choice.
People who may have been, they may have been the world's authorities on existentialism or Mayan culture or whatever. They know nothing about mountain lions, and the cops have had to deal with this before, and they do know something about mountain lions.
I like that Thomas Sowell Matters shirt. Yeah. So, I mean, long story short, you know what I'm saying? Just because you don't have a diploma don't mean you dumb. And just because you have one, some type of fancy title, it don't mean that you are smarter, better than anybody else. I think people that don't have diplomas need to rise up and realize their potential. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a diploma, you probably don't have a lot of debt. So that's something to use to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people with diplomas is paying off some crazy debt, and they didn't get those jobs that they thought they were going to get. So, if you don't have a diploma, my advice to you is watch videos like this, read, go out, live, and experience things. You don't need to go to school. You don't need a PhD or whatever to really be smart or even to be wise. But I've been talking for long enough. That was it for the video, you guys. Don't forget on your way out to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace.